Greetings, fellow Earthlings. Today is December 16th, 2024, and this is episode 47 of MindMosaic. We're reaching the tail end of this series, but it's not over yet, and today is one of the most important episodes ever because today we're going to be talking about how to escape the Matrix. So, the Matrix is not just like a dystopian metaphor. It's real. It's not a computer simulation, but it is a system, and it's the invisible norms of society that structure our identities. Things like political ideologies or religious doctrine. These are like the invisible support structures that orient our sense of self and allow us to find a place of coherence with society. Now, the problem with the Matrix, as well as its constituent components, these being these ideas and belief systems, is that they narrow the horizons of your perspective. They confine you into a specific paradigm or a specific way of relating and understanding your place in the world. So the whole goal with this episode is to give you the tools that will allow you to basically deconstruct and deprogram your mind of these rigid structures so that you can start to think and behave in a way that is freer and less limited by these different doctrines that serve as the kind of enforcing and order maintaining extension of this matrix system within which we live. So the question becomes how? How do we break free? How do we deprogram this? And while the movie The Matrix conjures visions of rebellion and revolution, I think that the actual transformation is deeply personal, and it is a deliberate change in perspective. And that is the foundation upon which the transformation takes place. It is a personal, deliberate choice to break free. So here's step one to exiting the Matrix. Deprogram your belief systems. This is about contemplating yourself and understanding which key belief systems underpin and shape your identity. These are most often inherited. They are passed down from our parents, often without our consent. And this is just kind of the way it happens. We inherit our belief systems most of the time, and so the act of deprogramming that is something that involves a lot of introspection. Yeah, to look within yourself and find those beliefs, find their roots, understand why you hold the opinions that you do. I think there's 3 really good questions to ask yourself when you're sort of at this step, and that is, what do I believe? Do my beliefs serve me, or are there ways in which they hold me back? And the third is, who would I be without them? Who would I be without my beliefs? Would I be someone better? Would I be someone worse? Would I be unrecognizable? Understand that version of yourself. Start to get to know that version of yourself that isn't attached, and see what that person is like. A huge thing in catalyzing the effectiveness of this process is to deliberately put yourself into situations that expand your perspective, things that push the limits of your comfort zone. Travel, reading literature that opposes or contradicts viewpoints or beliefs that you might have, and trying to understand that opposing perspective, having conversations with people whose beliefs might not necessarily align with yours, and being open to those perspectives and listening to those perspectives rather than just rejecting or denying them because they don't neatly fit into your model, which is by no means objective. So this is kind of about putting yourself into situations in which you are more likely to face things that challenge your identity. Because that's the way the world is. The world is wild, and in the wild, you face things that challenge your identity, and that's necessary for this growth and evolution to happen. That is necessary for you to realize this kind of deeper level of your identity that isn't necessarily defined by things or ideas. Experiences of this nature act as mirrors that reflect your own beliefs through the prism of culture and allow you to see new things, new unseen possibilities, allow you to potentially see holes in your beliefs that you might not have previously been aware of. And this is a process that inevitably leads to an expanding of your perspective and an expansion of the limitations of what you believe is possible. So it's amplifying the borders of what you think can be realized. And I think that that's, some might call it naivete, but I don't think that what I'm referring to, this kind of, it's not naivete. It's confidence in one's own ability. It's self-assuredness. It's knowledge. It's self-knowledge. And so that is something that is incredibly beneficial, but I think equally as important to having those kinds of experiences that expand your perspective is to cultivate presence and to take time to experience moments of silence and to sit in the emptiness and the spaciousness of those moments. The constant noise of modern life can often distract us from having a connection with ourselves, our inner selves, and practices that cultivate silence and presence, like meditation, like mindfulness, or just sitting alone with yourself. These are practices that allow you to get to know who you are, actually being able to see who you are in those moments of silence, when there's no need to have an opinion on this or that, when there is simply the choice, not even the choice, just the blatant fact of existing in a moment and just being there. There's no need to believe this or that. It's a moment when those identity structures can be kind of put down, and so that the consciousness of yourself can actually begin to have time with itself without the noise of external influence of, oh no, you should be this way, you should be that way, and just being able to sit with yourself without any expectation. That is equally as important as pushing yourself to new experiences, is having those baseline experiences of presence, of silence, of stillness, of emptiness. That is just as important. Okay, step 2, to exiting the matrix. Once you've deprogrammed the belief structures in your mind, and let me just say, this is not a one and done thing. This is a continuous effort, because the mind, it clings to these things. So you kind of have to get in there again and again to kind of make sure that the mind is, that there's some distance between the self and the identity. This deprogramming of these belief structures in your mind is the first step. But the whole idea of this is to bring you sort of to a baseline where you're no longer clinging to any specific thing, but you also don't really have any direction necessarily at this moment. You could say you are ready to be freed, but you are not free yet. And so the second step to exiting the matrix is to be able to think outside the box. Now, our natural tendency in life is to remain within the boundaries of what is safe, what is familiar. But the thing with growth is that it demands that we step outside of that. In order to think outside the box, you need to dare to venture into an uncharted territory. And it is the territory of the unknown, of uncertainty. And that is both the scariest place to be, but it's also the place where all the most beautiful things are hiding. And having the courage to be able to step out into that space is what it means to think outside the box. It's to think outside the limitations of what is normal, what is canonically viewed as the status quo, and stepping outside of that to this unknown, wild place. But that's where literally everything else is. Okay, here's an example. So instead of asking what is the right answer, ask what are some possibilities that no one has considered yet. Or instead of asking what is the solution to this problem, as in seeing problems as isolated, see them as interconnected, as being part of a network of systems. So the thing that both of these have in common is it is stepping outside of the boundaries of how problems are typically solved, and instead of looking to the established, to the conventional, to the problem for the solution, you look to the unknown, the unrelated, the unseen, the mysterious, and maybe you'll find a solution out there, but you definitely won't find that within the boundaries of what is already established. The solution is unknown, and that has to be found in an unknown place. And sure, there are solutions to problems that can be found within the box. This happens, but they're never that cool. They're never like... Basically, I think with this whole thinking outside the box thing, it's just about, I'm trying to outline like a shift in perspective that allows you to see beyond your specific, previously established like way of relating to the world. And that will give you like a crazy advantage over people who haven't sort of realized this capability yet to move between different domains and to find solutions in unexpected places, to find answers to questions in unexpected places. And the only way that's going to happen is if you venture to those unexpected places. And that lies outside of the boundaries of what is established. But that's what the Matrix is. The Matrix is the boundaries of what is established. And so I guess there's sort of a disclaimer, like, just so you know, exiting the Matrix means going into an unknown world, an uncharted territory. And that is like the most terrifying thing ever. But it's a choice, and the choice is stay within, the status quo, the established, the normal, or venture into something else, something beyond that. And what that thing is, you'll never know until you go. So we've covered two parts of how to exit the Matrix. First comes deprogramming the rigid belief structures in your mind. And then second is learning to be able to think outside the box, to have that sort of fluid, multidisciplinary sense of self, which comes as a consequence of being able to release the things that you cling on to as your identity. Now, the third step is being able to put this into practice, to put it into action, and be able to channel that newfound sense of self into something meaningful and something that hopefully inspires other people to also take this shift in perspective, which is ultimately kind of, not even kind of, like straight up what I'm trying to do with these videos. But that aside, this is about creating from a place of authenticity. Step 3 in exiting the matrix, the final step is creating. You see, exiting the matrix is not just about thinking differently, it's about living differently. Ultimately, what is the point of exiting the matrix if your quality of life is going to be the same no matter what your perspective is or whatever? This is about actively and actually changing the material conditions of your life, and this is through creation. Now, when you deprogram your mind, when you do these first steps of exiting the matrix, you gain access to an unburdened part of yourself that isn't limited or defined by identities or politics or religion or this or that or anything. You gain access to that part of yourself that is completely free from any of those definitions. That part of yourself is the most insanely powerful and mysterious thing ever, because it's like when you create from that place, it just comes through. It's that authenticity, it's that confidence that I was mentioning earlier of knowing that you are capable, that self-assured capability and confidence in one's own capability to create, to manifest things that are both perplexing and life-affirming. To be able to create those things comes through this deprogramming. And creating those things leads to that same transformation being catalyzed in the minds of others. Gaining access to this part of yourself and truly gaining access to it, that's what it is to break free of the matrix. Because you're accessing and going into an aspect of yourself that was never confined by any limitations that the matrix did. It was your mind that was locked up in all this stuff. What I'm talking about is like a thing beyond the mind, a thing that is independent of thoughts and beliefs. It is yourself. It is your sense of self, like you, the being that you are, not what you believe, but what you are, like fundamentally. Gaining access to that is what it means to break free of the matrix, because you were essentially realizing yourself as something that was never confined in the first place. This is the self that can do what was once believed to be impossible. The greatest visionaries and just most influential people throughout history, they were operating from this place. People who excelled, people who did amazing, impossible, excellent things that you see and you go, oh my God, that was amazing. Whether it's like a basketball player or some other sport like long jump or like acrobatics, whether it's writing, filmmaking, music, whether it's communication, public speaking, technology, science, whatever it is, the people who really made a difference were the people who were creating from that unlimited place, that place that knows, yeah, I could put someone on the moon. Easy. I just gotta do it. Not the mind that says, oh, but this and that and this. Like, that's good for being able to figure out the logistics of something. But it also is always, or like, it is the primary killer of drive, is rumination and overthinking. So being able to create from that place of authenticity, that's where we see the amazing stuff come from. That's when you look at someone and say, oh my God, how did you just do that? And they say, I just did. Because they just did, and you can too. It's just about being genuine, being honest, being there, being with yourself, and being able to make that expression. Creating from a place of authenticity is about being true to you, to yourself, expressing your voice honestly, truthfully, having that realness. That it doesn't matter, like, if you do that, it doesn't matter if you don't fit into any mold. In fact, it's probably like telling a very positive thing, and that's that you are being your the most faithful expression of your infinitely unique self. In conclusion, sort of to kind of bookend all of this, exiting the matrix isn't about rejecting anything necessarily. It's not about saying the world is bad or society is bad. It's simply about transcending the limitations of your own mind. And that is something that we develop through our experiences. It's like a pearl forming, and these layers are like the layers of identity that develop naturally. And there's nothing wrong with that at all. But if exiting the matrix is something that you want to do, there needs to be a unlearning. There needs to be a deprogramming, a releasing of that content of your mind so that you can step into your authenticity unburdened by the noise of what you think you're supposed to do or say, and being able to trust yourself because you actually are in the presence of yourself and being able to create from that place. So it's pretty simple. It's deprogramming your mind, stepping outside your comfort zone, cultivating moments of presence and silence, and through those things, you will expand your perspective. You'll be able to see the interconnectedness of all things, and you will also develop a closer relationship to yourself. You will begin to understand yourself more and understand who you are and the type of person you are and what it means to be you and the type of things that you are capable of. Those are the things that you will learn about yourself simply by recognizing that there is a part of you that no matter what you believe, there's a part of you that is free. All it takes is a shift in perspective. The matrix, it thrives on limitations. It is built upon limitations. But your true self is unlimited. The extraordinary is not something that is like reserved for a select lucky few. It is natural. It is a natural byproduct of a mind that has transcended the belief of I can't. That's what exiting the matrix is. So yeah. Yeah, that's it. So hopefully that means something and it's not just nonsense. I think it means something. I think so. And if it does to you, then that's perfect. Anyway, that's about it. That's all I can really provide at this time. If you found it meaningful or beneficial in any kind of way, let me know. And yeah, I just hope that that can sort of help you in some kind of way, because it definitely has helped me. And yeah, I think that like if more people can realize this, more people can realize that like breaking free of the matrix is not like this like switch that like, oh, you're either locked in the matrix or you're not. And it's also not something that is external. It's definitely an internal thing. If more people kind of realize those two things, I think the whole idea of like exiting the matrix is going to be less of like a almost like a meme or like a sort of like this like slang, and it's going to be more of like a recognized personal choice to sort of exist in a different mode of consciousness, of not being limited by like what society says is possible or what you have been conditioned to believe is possible because of your own experiences. So, yeah, I think that like if we can get that message out there and be able to like deliver it clear enough to where people can kind of easily chew on that and take action, we'll be in a lot in a much better place. Just in terms of the matrix itself and how the matrix works and how it's run. I think the more people that sort of wake up and realize that you're not a prisoner um, of the matrix so much as you're a prisoner of your own mind, that will be a big step in maybe rebranding what the matrix is, or maybe eradicating it altogether. But I think that maybe that's an extreme measure, but you never know. And this is something that needs to be explored further by many, many individuals. So, yeah, with all of that said, hopefully that means something to you. And yeah, I can't believe that we're almost at the end of this series. It's been a wild ride. And don't worry, there will definitely, obviously, still be more videos after this series is over. But it's just kind of crazy to think that we're almost at the end of Mind Mosaic. I'm definitely very excited for the next episode, our final finale episode. It's going to definitely, I think, leave you with no unanswered questions. So be excited for that. Comes out next Monday. But yeah, hopefully that meant something or like helped you in some kind of way. Yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say. And yeah, YouTube outros are really hard. But I'll see you later. Peace out. Bye, Earthlings.